Prince Harry arrived at the Royal Courts of Justice in central London in notably high spirits, and that single detail alone tells us far more than many headlines ever could. This was not a man shrinking from scrutiny, sneaking through side entrances, or avoiding the public gaze. This was Prince Harry walking openly, confidently, and deliberately into a legal battle he chose to fight. He smiled, he waved, he greeted supporters, he acknowledged people who had gathered simply to show solidarity. And in a moment where symbolism matters just as much as legal procedure, those gestures spoke volumes. According to reports, including coverage from the Mirror, the Duke of Sussex appeared relaxed and composed as he stepped out in a dark suit, crisp white shirt, and black tie. He made his way into the High Court without visible tension, without visible fear, and without any attempt to disappear. Instead, he looked like someone who understood exactly where he was, exactly why he was there, and exactly what this moment represents. That matters, because this is not a casual court appearance. This is the beginning of a 9-week legal trial that cuts to the core of why Prince Harry ultimately stepped away from royal life. He is one of 7 claimants bringing a case against Associated Newspapers Limited, the publisher of the Daily Mail, accusing the company of using unlawful methods to obtain private information over many years. These allegations are serious. They include the use of private investigators, the accessing of confidential records, and the interception of private communications. This is not about bruised egos or unflattering headlines. This is not about criticism or opinion pieces. This is about how information was obtained, and that distinction is crucial. When critics attempt to frame this case as Harry versus the press, they deliberately gloss over what is actually being alleged. Journalism is not on trial here. Freedom of expression is not on trial. What is under scrutiny is whether powerful media organizations crossed legal boundaries and violated basic rights to privacy in pursuit of stories. If these allegations are proven, they point to systemic practices that go far beyond aggressive reporting and move firmly into illegality. That is why this case matters far beyond Prince Harry himself. It is also important to note that Harry is not alone. 6 other claimants are involved, each bringing their own experiences, documentation, and evidence. This is not a solitary crusade. It is a collective challenge to practices that many believe were normalized for far too long. The trial is being overseen by a senior High Court judge, and it is taking place at the Royal Courts of Justice, one of the most significant legal venues in the United Kingdom. This is not theatre. This is not symbolism for symbolism's sake. This is a serious case in a serious court with serious implications. Prince Harry is scheduled to give evidence over 2 days, and while he is not expected to attend every single session of the 9-week proceedings, his presence on the opening day was intentional. He did not have to appear. He did not have to smile. He did not have to engage with supporters. He could have stayed out of sight entirely. But he chose visibility, and that choice reflects something we have seen repeatedly from Prince Harry over the past several years: a willingness to confront institutions that once seemed untouchable, even when doing so comes at personal cost. To understand why this matters so deeply, we have to look at the broader context. This case is part of a long overdue reckoning between sections of the British press and public figures who say they were targeted through unethical and unlawful practices. We have already seen similar legal battles involving other publishers, other newspapers, and other claimants. What makes Harry's case distinct is not just his title, but the fact that his entire life has unfolded under relentless scrutiny. He grew up knowing his phone could be tapped. He grew up knowing private moments could be monetized. He grew up knowing that even grief could be turned into a headline. We do not have to look far back to remember the phone hacking scandals that shocked the nation, when it emerged that not only celebrities but crime victims and grieving families had their voicemails accessed. That history matters. It provides essential context for why Prince Harry has been so outspoken about media accountability. This is not sudden. This is not impulsive. This is not performative. This is deeply personal. And yet, on the steps of the High Court, Harry did not appear weighed down by that history. He appeared steady, purposeful, even buoyant. The contrast between the seriousness of the allegations and the lightness of his demeanor has not gone unnoticed. Some commentators are already speculating about what that smile means. Confidence? Determination? Perhaps even relief at finally having his concerns examined under the law rather than distorted through headlines. There is also, inevitably, a parallel narrative that resurfaces every time Harry returns to the UK. The question of royal reunions. Once again, reports suggest that Harry will not be meeting with his father, King Charles, nor with his brother, Prince William, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, during this visit. Despite recurring claims of behind-the-scenes reconciliation or secret talks, the reality appears unchanged. Harry is in London for legal business, and his family, quite simply, is not part of that agenda. King Charles is understood to be occupied with his schedule, while William and Catherine are said to be unavailable due to prior commitments. Some outlets frame this as rejection or coldness. Others see it as a reflection of how separated these worlds have become. Prince Harry is no longer operating within the royal bubble. He is navigating life as a private citizen with a public past. And that includes fighting legal battles without palace machinery behind him. That, too, is significant. In previous generations, royal disputes with the press were often handled quietly, through informal pressure or behind-the-scenes negotiations. Harry is doing the opposite. He is going to court. He is putting evidence on the record. He is allowing a judge to decide. That is not rebellion. That is accountability. And his presence alone has already had a ripple effect. It keeps attention focused on press practices. It forces uncomfortable questions about ethics. It challenges the idea that powerful media organizations are beyond scrutiny. The fact that this trial will last 9 weeks tells us just how much evidence is involved. This is not a symbolic lawsuit. This is a detailed examination of years of conduct, and Harry's testimony is likely to be one of the most closely watched moments of the trial. Not because he is a prince, but because of what he has lived through. Harry has spoken openly about how media intrusion affected his mental health, his relationships, and his sense of safety. He has connected those experiences directly to the loss of his mother, Princess Diana, whose death remains one of the most searing examples of media pursuit gone too far. Standing outside the court, greeting supporters, Harry looked like someone who knows exactly why he is there. He is not there for spectacle. He is not there for revenge. He is there because he believes something wrong was done and that it deserves to be examined under the law. Supporters who gathered outside the court seem to understand that. Reports describe onlookers calling out words of encouragement, which Harry acknowledged with smiles and gestures of thanks. These moments humanize what can otherwise feel like an abstract legal process. They remind us that behind every lawsuit are real people, real experiences, and real consequences. Of course, not everyone views Harry's actions favourably. Critics argue that he is waging a personal crusade against the media, or that he is unwilling to accept scrutiny as part of public life. But that argument collapses under even minimal examination. This case is not about unfavourable coverage, it is about alleged illegal methods, and if those methods are proven, then the issue is not Prince Harry. The issue is the system. What is perhaps most striking is how composed Harry appeared, despite the emotional weight of this case. Legal battles are exhausting, public scrutiny is relentless, family estrangement takes a toll. Yet here he was, smiling, waving, standing tall. That composure suggests preparation. It suggests clarity. It suggests resolve. As the trial continues and Harry takes the stand, media attention will intensify. Every word will be parsed, every expression analysed. But beyond the noise, the real work will be happening in the courtroom, where evidence is tested and arguments examined. This case will not be decided by public opinion. It will not be decided by headlines. It will be decided by a judge. And that distinction matters. As these proceedings unfold, they may force a broader conversation in the UK about media regulation, ethics and accountability. These conversations often surface after scandals and then fade away. Harry's case has the potential to keep them alive. For Prince Harry, this moment represents more than a court appearance. It represents a continuation of a journey he began years ago, redefining his relationship with the press, with power, and with his past. The smiles and waves may seem small, but they signal something much larger. Resolve. Resolve to see this through. Resolve to stand in the open. Resolve to confront a system he believes caused real harm. And as this 9-week trial unfolds, one thing is already clear. Prince Harry is not backing down.